Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to another edition of Across Retail Talks. My name is Reinhard Wieniwater. I'm the publisher of Across magazine, and I'm very pleased that so many people across are here today. Welcome to a very special retail talk. It's the first talk with our very, very prominent Across advisory board. And how could it otherwise be at the beginning of the year? We want to talk about the very challenging 2021. A top-class discussion group is ready. Klaus Striebich will lead this discussion as an expert moderator. I ask you, please take part in the discussion and ask questions. Use the chat function. And in the next few days, we will send a summary and a video of this discussion via our newsletter. So that's it from my side at the beginning. I now hand over to Klaus Striebich. Klaus, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Reinhard, and welcome to our famous panelists and welcome to our audience, which is listening, and I'm pretty much sure that you are all curious to hear what could gonna happen in 2021. So I wouldn't start with happy first anniversary COVID-19. I think that's too sarcastic, but maybe we are still in a situation where the current feelings may be like the weather conditions. So we have been faced by minus 20 degrees last week and now plus 20 degrees this week. Big ups and downs also in business, and hopefully 2021 will be slightly better. Is it a kind of similarity in our industry? What has happened in the past months? Where are we today? And what will be the outlook for our industry? This is the topic of this great round. And maybe the discussion could be started with, will be everything digital or made at home or remote? I'm not 100% sure. What is our agenda for today? So we have these 16 panelists, which I don't want to introduce because you know them already very well, because this is a fantastic overview about the European retail real estate industry, and they have lots of things to say, I'm pretty much sure. My key learnings from 2020, what I would do next time better, what I will certainly not miss anymore. These are the questions I would love to send to the panelists, and I do it in alphabetical order. Welcome, Christoph. Christoph, what are your 3 key learnings from 2020?
My real key learnings for 2020 out of the focus of retail, my personal key learnings are, I was amazed that a very concentrated and monolithic information campaign, how this can change the whole world, how this can bring us to a situation there that we are giving up freedom, which we were fighting for 200 years. What I will do better next time is to prepare myself and my team earlier to these things. It was not really a harm, but I mean, I'm feeling myself responsible that I didn't react earlier to this above mentioned movement. And what I certainly will not miss anymore is that my traveling time went down to 50% or even less. I learned that a lot of pragmatic things can be done online, which we did earlier as well, but now our clients doing it as well. And what I learned that creative work cannot be done online and needs still a very close social discussion, physical social discussion.
I can imagine. Thanks so much. Ben from Conic, what will you not miss any longer in the time? Welcome, Ben Chesser.
Hi, should I start with my learnings, then go through?
Sure.
So the learnings, the biggest learning I think was, we all had this one, was that we can take decisions a lot quicker than we thought we could, and a lot bigger decisions. So every company that had been thinking about stuff for 3 years suddenly decided like this to do it, which was a good thing coming out of COVID, made us more reactive. 2, I think we all learned that retail is a data business. If you haven't got any data, you haven't got a retail business. And 3, the big one there was fortune favors the brave, like be bold. Some companies took massive, big decisions. Simon Properties buying retailers. Some big things happened that hadn't happened for years. So that was the 3 learnings. What I would do better from a business point of view, work with partners. It took us a few months to figure out actually that we're all in trouble. We're all trying to solve the same problems. And when we opened up to partnership conversations, things went a lot quicker. And this is all about speed. COVID taught us all to be fast. And if you're not fast, you're dead. And then in terms of what I won't miss anymore, hopefully pretty soon I'm going to stop missing the beating heart of our cities being dead. I hate seeing empty high streets and empty shops and empty bars and empty restaurants. It makes me very, very sad. And I really hope that pretty soon that's a thing of the past.
Thank you so much, Ben. Johnny Doughty, I think you will miss the travels around the globe or Europe. Johnny, how are you? Welcome.
Very well indeed. Thank you very much, Klaas. It's very good to be here. Key learnings. I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think like everybody, I've learned that travel is not always necessary. Like many people, I got on a plane and went to a meeting. Then you get back on the plane and you go back again somewhere else. I think I've learned that you prioritize what you actually need to travel for because we've had to. I think the second thing I've learned is that there are truly some amazing people doing very ordinary jobs, and they're doing it in an extraordinary way every single day. And thank God they do, because that's what's kept us going and kept us alive and kept the communities moving, which is fantastic. I think the other thing I've learned is that my addiction, and I have a really bad addiction to human contact. And I've learned that that addiction is actually shared by almost everybody. We all have that same addiction. We are missing each other so much at the moment, whether that is just shaking somebody's hand or being with family or going to, you know, those things they used to call conferences. Do you remember those? We were all in the same room together, really tightly close. Yeah, I miss that. I miss that terribly. I think what I'd do better, I'd be better prepared for the long haul. I think for all of us, especially in the UK, where we've had 3 lockdowns, we always like to be ahead in the UK, as you know, so we've had 3 of them. I'd be better prepared because every time we thought it was just going to be over the first time, then the second time, then the third time. The pressure's on Boris now to make sure that this is the end, oh, the beginning of the end, I should say. Second thing I do is I build my office in the garden before the pandemic started next time. That took me a month and a half to build it. It's very nice, but for that time I didn't have it. It was very, very tricky. And I would definitely stock up on pasta and toilet rolls, which ran out very quickly in the UK when it all started. What I'm not going to miss, and there's a really strong point here, I'm not going to miss watching the daily death count on the television across the world and in our country. I cannot wait for that to stop happening on the television programs around the world. Too many people have died. Too many people have lost far too much. Frankly, too little has been learned about what's been going on, and it's taking too long for us to come out of this. But the one good thing about it is that soon we will be back together again. And I think that's got to be a positive.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Johnny. We have Scott Dwyer with us from Atrium. I think you're based in Amsterdam, is it right? Or in Poland? Maybe you can give us a sign. Scott.
Based in Poland, but we cover like 4 or 5 countries, and our head office is in Amsterdam. For me, sort of coming back into more of a retail operational perspective, I think the key thing I learned last year is that a balanced agreement means something different for everyone. So what someone wants is not what you want. And you have to learn how to play with a small blanket across a big bed on balancing everyone's needs. And I think that has forced some change. And once people recognize that we had to change, people have moved and companies have adapted, I think, very quickly. And ultimately, I think the forced change in the system of retail is something which is overdue. And I think it's ultimately good for the system. For me, what I would have done better was use the lockdown times more wisely on our assets. You know, there was a lot of downtime, which probably wasted in when you could have done some nice capex or maintenance programs and sort of looked after your assets a bit. But you didn't know how deep the hole was going to get. You didn't know how long the lockdowns were, so you just stalled yourself, and it was a real lost opportunity. What I would have liked to have done better was also to communicate publicly as an industry to consumers, but that I found was extremely challenging on one hand, you're trying to sort of have a united front. On the other hand, you're negotiating, thousands of lease agreements with retailers. So it was hard to get a common voice to consumers. What I won't miss is the mixing of business and politics, which has had a very sort of hard and tough impact on our businesses, but particularly in Poland. Some are less, some to a lesser extent. Some countries have done it very well, but it has caused a substantial interference in our commercial relationships with retailers, which I think is something which should be best left alone to supply and demand. And I think the other thing I won't miss is the famous saying, which has been said to me many, many, many times, is "You're on mute."
So much, Scott. Yeah. Very interesting. She's already used to our retail talk. Joanna Fischer, welcome. And I think your change is one of the biggest one in that round, correct?
Do you mean because of what, Klaus? Because of my position, or which one? So within ECE, everything changed, not just the business, also the structure of the company, but I think all of you know that already. So just very shortly, my key learnings from 2020, stay calm. And even use the trial and error method, because if you did an error, the time is running so fast that nobody knows that within the next few days, and everybody is happy about the next trial, and maybe it was positive. So therefore, you have to be calm for the next crisis we will get for sure. And this is, I think, very important for the future. What I would do better next time, I would be better prepared. The checklists are already ready for the next times. And even we saw that now during COVID 2 and 3, as we call it already, especially for Poland. So I'm there very on the side of my colleague from Atrium. And yes, this would be, of course, the more flexibility, because when you meet for the first time this kind of crisis, this is unsure feeling, and this has to be managed. So for the future, would be more flexible and more better prepared for that, what can happen, and stay calm, keep calm, as I told it before. What I will not miss, I will not miss anymore this no contact with people. So just sitting in the front of the computer and talk 10 hours per day digital, it's not my issue. So I would like to have more contact in the normal way, as Johnny described it before, to meet people, to talk people, because to have it just in digital way is not my thing. So therefore, I ask for ending this crisis and meet again and make business together. This is what I would like to have back very soon, please.
Thank you very much. It seems that we are still humans and not digital units, which is good.
Not digital native anymore. It's not just that one.
Great. Thank you so much, Joanna. Yuda, one of our youngest members in the advisory boards from Turkey, how are you, and what are your key learnings from your point of view?
Let me start with the last one, please. I will not miss the mask. So I do hope never ever again going around with the mask. And yeah, the learnings are, I mean, colleagues told already, important is that from different markets and countries, the experiences and all the circumstances, as well as the business environment, which, for example, allowed us to act maybe in some cases quicker because we get some information earlier from China. And then we have seen the development of that pandemic, unfortunately, where nobody is responsible for, and which affected not only economy, because health and everything social, when we think about our kids, that we have learned there very much to be very close and also with the people, and that we have listened to all of the people. Health is the most important key. I mean, whatever we say and however we wish to recover everything, come back to business as before COVID, I mean, that is the most important. I have seen so many people suffering, and not only due to COVID or Corona, but also from the social aspect and families. Probably, I think, thanks God, we have been always very close to our partners, retailers, and we will be more close, not only with them, but also with our people and our staff as well. And thanks God, we have a quite bold family and board, which was always very close to us, because as Joanna also told, this Zoom meetings are not easy. Staying at home is not easy at all. And well, these are the future learnings, I could say.
Super, thanks very much. And Brad Thumb said everything's going well in Turkey again. We have next in row is Henrik Madsen, our expert. Henrik, how are you and what's your view?
I'm very good indeed, thank you. Also speaking from London. I think one of the things that, or some of the things that are very important is, what did we learn? And we thought everybody was going to be agile, and we thought everybody was able to work at speed. And we thought everybody was working at precision. I think last year told us and showed us actually that we really all were never agile, speedy or precise, because we suddenly have to actually become these things in real terms. We had to be agile in terms of how we were working, how we were behaving at home. We had to work with speed to try and make sure that we could convert our businesses into something that was now consumer friendly if we had a bricks and mortar business. And we had to be very precise with our messaging to our consumers at the retail end as well. One thing we also learned, or I learned certainly, was that legacy brands is no longer a security for survival. I think that's a very important learning from this. We are seeing that from the high street. We are seeing that from the shopping center industry, that just because you've got a great brand doesn't necessarily mean you have got a right to exist. And I think that's a powerful learning from 2020. In terms of what I would do differently, certainly preparation. I think preparation is one of the key elements in everything that we do. We always think we are prepared. We got a great e-com system. We're prepared for our staff to be looked after, whatever. And suddenly, when we are in this situation, we realize how flawed many of our systems are. So I think generally preparation is an important part. And in terms of what I'm not going to miss, I'm not going to miss being restricted. And I think that's one of the key things: being restricted to travel, being restricted to see friends, being restricted to touch and feel stuff. That would have to be the view of a retailer.
Thanks for great feedback. And it looks that the freedom is a very, very valuable thing. He brings light into the world. Thomas Mark, everybody knows him. Thomas, what is your key learning so far?
So far, I can agree to many words of my colleagues and friends. For us, in the first lockdown was really thrown as into a state of shock. It was really, we thought what's happening with our company and what's going on. But soon we understood that we need to act quickly, as we expected a drop of sale, and therefore we adjusted all our costs for all our different companies. We had a lot of calls, and that's why we came out of this crisis quite well. Still more than 100 million euro turnover, which we are very happy with all of our clients. But it was a real challenge, as I said. The challenges of shopping centers are not new. They are quite a long time, and we have tried to respond to these challenges with new concepts, with new ideas, also for smaller budgets, because this is one of the big issues in the future. The budgets what has been before will never come back, and but we're in a very lucky position to create atmosphere for people in shopping centers in different places, and this will come also the next years, and even more important. And yeah, it makes us happy. I had 120 flights a year, so I had only one flight this year. So this is a big difference to before. And like many said, it's one kind of nice to fly not so often, but it's also to see not the people and to talk. And that's what I certainly not miss anymore, is the social distancing in any directions. And that's something very, I really don't like it. I like open borders. I like meet people. I'm a very open-minded person and like to discuss with things. And the other things I think we have already heard from our colleagues. I agree to many words of them.
Thank you so much. We have Markus Bovary based in Finland with us. Hyperine seems to be one of the winners of this crisis. Am I correct? Markus, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Klaus. Yes, I'm currently here at our headquarters in Helsinki, Finland. So we haven't had the hard lockdowns here in Finland. So the situation has been pretty good, and we've been also managed to help our customers globally to overcome the crisis. So everything so far so good. But I have to, of course, comply of the esteemed colleagues, Thomas and Henrik, especially, that nobody is, of course, missing the restrictions when they are getting over, and we all miss the physical touch and interaction with other people. But maybe on a personal level, it has also helped me to value the freedom that we have and which we always sometimes take in for granted. But on a business level, of course, it's the key learnings is always to be prepared for everything and quickly pivot if needed. And adopting to change is the only way to be successful in the game, especially in these challenging times. So you need to centrally manage everything, keep all your functions together in commercial management, marketing, tenants, even in the leasing. It's same thing in commercial real estate than in all organizations. So they will go into the silos if people and technology is not helping to keep everything under one roof. And one of the things that we could and should change or could do better next time, especially the messaging from different continents. So as we seen this phenomenon happening first in Asia, we weren't proactive enough to warn our customers in Europe because nobody was really expecting the pandemic to move so fast as we remember the SARS in early 2000, which kind of kept spreading in Asia but didn't come here in Europe. So that's something that we could have done better, and for sure we'll do better next time. So as we're one of the few PropTech companies working globally in different regions, we have the possibility to help our customers and learn from different cultural and market stuff that we can then relay on all of our customers.
Thank you so much. So the learning is to learn, which is great.
Yes.
Thomas, you also used our retail talks. Outlet centers are called somehow winners. What's your point of view?
Yeah, I think overall the outlets industry came quite well so far through this pandemic, and the rebounds was always more or less on the level of last year. But before maybe digging into some of the key learnings, what comes into my mind when we talked about that up front, I think there was the former Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, after the Vietnam War. He was asked, how is it possible that a country like the United States are not aware what they expect in this war and so on. And he has said at that time, the biggest threats are the unknown unknowns. I don't know if you heard it. These are topics or things or threats that you're even aware of. And the other thing is you don't have a problem or a history of solutions for this. The thing, we had all been hit by something we had not expected. Almost nobody had expected it, and there was no solution ready from the history for this. And so I think what we have seen is that people have developed, and overall we can say, in some areas the best came out of the people to overcome this crisis, and a lot of my colleagues have already talked about that, how we can overcome it, how focused and committed the people are in this business. So, and I think for us in the outlet business, it's always this triangle of, there are the owners and investors, there's the management company running the outlets, and then there is the brands. And I think this triangle, and to find a fair balance, was the key success also, I think, of the rebound of the outlets. And there had been just recently published an Ecostra study about brands had been asked how we overcome the crisis. There's a quite interesting ranking, and they turned it a little bit around. Value Retail is the number one. How the brands see how they had overcome the crisis from the internet operators, and we are as Ross number 2 on this, which shows also that it's very important to have individual approaches to the brand, individual approaches to the investors to overcome this crisis. Second thing is the pandemic had just, I think, put fuel into the fire to speed up all the processes that had been already in the pipeline. So I think it's just speeding up the process. And the third one is definitely there will be a huge evolution of the outlets, at the concept of the surrounding of outlet centers. What will the outlets be? The future flagship stores of brands? Question mark. So a lot of these discussions have just started. I think what do I not miss? Most of that had already been said here. And like Thomas said, I was always traveling about 100 flights a year. Now no flights. It's also not the worst scenario, but we all hope to come back to normality and also be in contact, in personal contact.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Walter Seib is our representative from the retail side or gastronomy side, a very important part in our industry. Walter, how are you and what has changed in the past weeks and months for you?
Yeah, thanks a million. I'm good personally. Business is suffering, as we all know. But I would start with the last question first, what I wouldn't miss. And I always say the human being is not designed to be alone. So what I will not miss is that we be alone. So I'm craving for a company in the office, in the business out there, at home, in restaurants, with our colleagues and our clients. So that's for the first one. But at the same time, I would also say is talking about for the next time, what's better. I think this crisis has given us a gift, and it really sounds a little bit contradictory. But the gift is that we are better positioned for the next crisis. And I think we've been much leaner, agile. And I think also we are much more digitalized, optimized for remote working. Having said this, I think food and beverage is a business where you want to be close to your clients and to your customers. But of course, we have certain functions that can work remote. But if you're a cook or a server in a restaurant, it's very difficult to work from home, of course. The key learnings, in the end, I have 3 key takeaways from 2020. And I think the first one is you need to be prepared and willing to innovate, but also to write your own playbook, since this crisis or any crisis don't have a playbook. Huh? And so that's, I think, for everyone special. The second one, I think it's about collaboration. And what we have learned in an intensive crisis like this, I think working together is the only way forward. And that's what we have done, and we would do anyway. But if people starting writing letters and talking to lawyers, then you go nowhere. But collaboration is key. And in the light of that is you need to look for positive messages, and you need to find them, and you need to anchor them for your clients, for your customers, but most importantly for your own organization. Since people want perspective, they want to look ahead. And someone said this before, just to look at how many people died, that's not a perspective. That makes people sad and has some further psychological, create some psychological issues. But above all, I learned, and I do this for many years, you need to trust your gut feeling. And when I saw from our China operation, January 2020, the signs of the corona crisis, we had some internal talks, and someone said this before in our organization, people said, that's like SARS and will not come here. And I said, you need to be prepared. So we started reorganizations and all other things. So we've been ahead of many other organizations, and it was painful and it was hard, but I think it brought us where we are. And I'm proud of the team, what they have achieved. And more importantly, I think it's really sad. We had over 50% of our workforce, we let them go. It's really sad to let good people go where they didn't did anything wrong. So I think we shouldn't forget this as well.
Very great statements. Thanks so much, Walter. Maybe you're a little bit jealous if you see where he's sitting, Jan. He's right at the Lake of Constance, the sun in the back. Hello, welcome.
Hello, Klaus. Hello, everybody. No, it's not the Lake of Constance, it's Lake of Geneva.
Sorry for that.
And thank you for Reinhard and you, Klaus, for organizing this panel. I think it's a very good opportunity to have these statements. And I was looking for a quote when I was preparing, when you asked the question for the learnings. And many of you were talking about preparing, how to be better prepared. And I found a quote from Benjamin Franklin, and he said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So this quote is especially relevant, was especially relevant last year. If we thought we lived in a fast changing world, because we heard this several times during conferences, we thought we were already living in a fast changing world, but it wasn't. We experienced that it is even faster. And even if we talk about tomorrow, we don't know exactly what will happen. So one of my learnings is to be flexible, to be open-minded, to take sometimes things as they come, even if I don't like it, because at the beginning of this pandemic, I was sometimes angry. I was blaming things. But today, you see in the background, I didn't choose a fake image. I try to be real. I try to be more, live things as they are. And I realize this is a good thing to make things, to feel yourself better and make also your staff and your customers feel better, as otherwise they will be concerned, and this is not a good way to have them in your store or in your retail. And what I think is also very important, we stop talking about these negative things. I can't watch TV shows anymore every evening talking about COVID-19. And what could we do better? I mean, we realized, and that's the positive thing, that people came back to the stores. They were missing the five senses, to touch, to feel, to have this place to meet. And I think this is a very positive thing. They didn't know anymore what does it mean not meeting people. So now they know. So they are very grateful and thankful to come back to stores, to restaurants, or to other places. So I'm glad to be in this position today, to be here. But I think if we have this opportunity, and this is another learning, we can choose today better if to travel or not. Sometimes before we traveled for 2 hours for a meeting for 30 minutes, and it was not worth. So I think today we can better act and say, okay, today I do my meeting by Zoom, or I will be there. And before, sometimes it would not have been possible to propose to a partner, I will meet you on Zoom. That would have been, yeah, he would have not liked this proposition. But today it's okay, and I think this is an advantage to do business also. But of course, I look forward to Cannes. I look forward to go back to Vegas, and therefore I'm glad to be here today with you.
Looking forward to meeting you there. Thanks so very much, Jan. Next in row is Peter Tonstad. Welcome back again in Retail Talks, your second appearance. Peter, your comments on that?
Yes, thanks, Klaus. So I think as a starting point from a business perspective, I think 2020 was a huge reminder of how important it is to build company culture that really sort of is able to relate to change, and in other circumstances embrace change. But in this case, it's forced to relate to huge changes. And it's also a reminder how important it is for businesses to be well funded about their current business plan, because I mean, crisis, another crisis drive new opportunities as well, and the capability to go against the stream is always very attractive when you look back into a period like we've just been through, or are still in the midst of. In terms of things I would do different, very specifically, we were actually just about to close an acquisition like 5 minutes before COVID became the big thing, and we let that acquisition go because we obviously wanted to relate to the risk and reduce risk, because there was so much uncertainty. Looking back, our projections at the time were definitely leaning on the negative side more than reality turned out to to be. So looking back, I wish we would have taken a bit more risk and concluded, for instance, an acquisition and so on, but that's easy to say, obviously, looking back. What I'll definitely not miss is, I think we're quite unified on this panel. It's the social distancing thing, which is the real pain point. I have colleagues, clients across 3 continents, and I haven't met more or less any of them for now more than a year. So I do what I do to be together with people, and that hasn't been possible. And I also won't miss sort of having a stiff neck every end of day, being in front of video meetings for hours in and hours out. So yeah, looking forward to actually being able to meet people in person.
Thank you so much, Peter. So now I have to apologize because I did a big mistake, because normally I should know how ABC is looking like, and a K is before T. So I've missed our latest board member, which is Silvio Kirchmeier, the CEO of Umdash. I'm sorry, nobody has given me a sign, and I have to apologize. So please, K, Silvio Kirchmeier, the stage is yours.
Don't worry, there's no reason to apologize, really no problem. Yeah, let me start with my key learning. It's a personal one. I was able to reduce my carbon footprint in 2020 compared with 2019 by about 75%. So in 2019, I had a personal carbon footprint of around about 80 tons. And that was reduced to less than 20, just because of I didn't fly, or just reduced the flights. Instead of 200,000 miles in the air, it was around about 30,000. So this was, I never thought that this would be possible, and it was possible. As a company, the key learning was for sure react fast. And if you have decided, then work with consequence and work on it. What could we have done better? Yeah, we could have been better prepared. I mean, at least in December and January, we already saw there's something big upcoming. And we had then a shock second in March and April and May. And we should have been brave and bold. So we also postponed an acquisition, which we did luckily later on than in September. But we should have reacted in that way, that we should have been more positive. It did not come out that dramatic as we all maybe expected in March. And what I certainly would not miss at all is closed borders. Mentally closed borders and also naturally closed borders. I'm fed of nationalism, as we all realize again in Europe, and I hope that this can be avoided in the near and long-term future.
Thank you so much. Great statements, great key takeaways, and fantastic learnings. So stay with us, and I will come back to you, I'm sure.
No problem.
I will go back to my alphabet, which is then we, Patrick van Dooyeweerd, our latest member from Multi Corporation. Patrick, nice to see you and welcome.
Thank you. My key learning, or our key learning of 2020, I would say is, and that's a positive, is how resilient we as human beings are, but also how resilient our industry is. And to focus a little bit further, how resilient our own company and our teams are. I mean, in the past, I believe that people needed to be in the office. You know, we have 80 people in the back office here in Amsterdam, and I truly believe that those people should be 9 to 6 at least every day in the office to be able to function. And what we've seen now is that, although I would be very happy to see everyone back in the office, we can do our business without all the flying, without sitting in endless meetings, without shifting tons of documents back and forth. We can do our business actually better if we just focus on the content. And if we're forced to focus on the content because the external circumstances are pressuring us, we're actually doing better. In the beginning of the crisis, and I think that's when did it start? First February, March, I think last year. We were almost 24/7 business analyzing data and trying to get a grip on what was happening and running endless Excel sheet scenarios. And we tried to understand what was happening by just analyzing the data. But as we were doing, we were basically trying to catch a falling knife, and things were changing overnight. And as we are operating in different jurisdictions all over Europe, and regulations were changing, we were anticipating on the Polish government doing X, so it might happen that the Portuguese government might do Y, etc., etc. And all our predictions turned out to be false. key learning, set aside the resilience of our business and our staff, I would say, is that it's go back to basics, try to understand what the day-to-day business actually means, what the retailers need, what the consumers are expecting, and then try to adjust to changing circumstances. And that's another learning, I would say, is that if you don't team up with your clients, with your retailers, with your investors, if you don't align all the stakeholders in the chain, you can't hold up. And the pain and the pressure experienced only could be endured if it was spread out all over the business, including banks, including investors, all the way up to consumers and service providers. And I think we did well. I think the whole industry did well. I'm actually proud of how we managed to get through. I mean, we're not at the end yet, but I'm not unhappy with the result so far, let's say. And of course, it's devastating results for collection rates and valuations, etc. But in the end, we didn't collapse as an industry. While we entered this pandemic environment in not so good state as retail industry anyway. And despite that, we didn't go under. A lesson learned, and I gave it away actually, is that we don't need to fly around. Our colleague said that we don't need to fly around. I recall flying to London for a meeting of 1.5 hours and then flying back and basically filling your whole day with just being in an airplane. And at the end of the day, you had the feeling that you did something great, and in the end, you didn't do. I mean, that has been a wake-up call for all of us, I think. Trust, I think, is important. Trust all the stakeholders and back and forth, to trust that everyone under the same pressure can only get there if we trust each other, not to get an advantage out of it, but that we're all trying to get out of it in the best way possible. And to prepare yourself for the worst scenario while you're not forgetting that the short-term benefits are still there. And we try to do that with marketing campaigns. We try to do that with major overhauls of earlier plans, just dusting off, let's say, old marketing campaigns, even just learning from the different regions where we're active, and that was a great experience for the whole company, I would say. What I certainly won't miss, and I think I'm aligned here with my colleagues, is well, what I didn't miss during the Corona period behind us is waiting in airports. I didn't miss Schiphol for a second, actually. Flying went back from a lot to zero, and I don't miss that. But what I do miss, and I do believe that our business doesn't work without, is in the end it's a tangible business. You need to walk around the shopping mall to experience what's happening. You need to be able to look with the eyes of the consumer to understand why something is working and why something is not working. Our business is a lot about Excel sheets, but you can't run it with just Excel sheets. And I won't miss, let's say, I won't miss this period where you can talk with local people, where you can experience the bricks and the mortar, and where you can have spontaneous meetings, MAPIC, Expo Real, getting ideas from other people while you just bump into them in a reception or in a corridor somewhere. I won't miss that. So I'm happy if we go back to normal. I'm sure that our business comes out in a different way. We did a consumer survey just recently in November with 33,000 consumers in 11 countries. And the main take, and it's a little bit an open door maybe, but the main take on of that consumer survey is that over 70% of the interviewed consumers are just looking back to go back shopping, physical shopping. They want to go offline. We all know how online works now, and even I did. I hate it, but I have to admit that I did online shopping. But I think it's not giving the experience that you have while walking around in a shopping mall, walking around in a shopping street, having drinks afterwards, meeting people, etc. I do believe that after this Corona, let's say, pandemic, people will be very eager to go back to what we were used to have, and might even enjoy it better than we did.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and best of luck in your new position and your role at Multi. So looking forward.
Thank you.
What a great final, Henrike. You're last in the row.
Thanks a lot.
So, Henrike, so we are extremely curious to hear your points of view. Welcome.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So my key takeaway is that a strong team, which I believe we have, can successfully and quickly adapt to these new circumstances and this new environment, whether it's a digital workplace environment or whether this is changing markets where we needed to adapt our investment strategies very, very quickly. So this was really amazing to me. What I would do better, I think, to me is not really the right question, because I think like the continuous monitoring and improvement of processes is something which you do, like which is a day-to-day job. It's not a one-off 2020 job. So what I will certainly not miss is looking a little bit before the pandemic is the hesitation and skepticism towards digital working tools, as well as the hesitation of companies to give flexibility to their employees to use the home office. So I think like here we have a big boost, and looking a little bit to the positive side, I think like everyone is benefiting from that. So closing with a little bit of a positive remark, and happy to discuss further with you.
Thank you so much, Enrique. I will remain a little bit with you because you have just published the Global Retail Attractiveness Index Europe, if I'm allowed to touch this. Funny-wise, Germany is on a top position. Austria on the last one. Has it to do with Reinhard and me, or what was the reason for that?
Absolutely, I think so. No, just kidding. I mean, we have a couple of parameters playing into this this retail index. And I think like there is no clear distinctive distinction between Austria and Germany, but we saw a lot of improvements. Here is also, like they say, the macroeconomic figures do still look great in Germany. And I think like we will certainly see the impact of the corona pandemic at a little later stage, because like we have many macro indicators such as employment rates, etc., playing into this index. So yeah, it has nothing to do with you, Klaus. Don't worry.
Sorry for that. So I saw, and you have written a kind of, let's say, swing back in the industry after deep touch, which is a positive outlook. Thanks for that. Now we have the second round, and I would love to force also our audience to raise questions, and we have already received some questions, and I would love to start with the discussion on our industry. So maybe you can't hear it any longer, but in recent years, gastronomy has been the savior of our city centers, shopping malls, mixed-use project, whatever. They have started to replace the former expansive fashion branches and chain stores in terms of number of leasy signs. But who will be next in row? Who is the next savior of our products? And I would love to ask Scott, Henrik, and Thomas. And Scott, would you love to start with your answer?
Sure. I think that we're all aware and have all been impacted that food and beverage has suffered enormously through the pandemic. And you see that the expansion rates have slowed, and there's increasing vacancies coming, which is forcing change. So I think from my perspective, just to set up, is that landlords are now doing things or would approach things which they would never do before the pandemic in solutions for food and beverage. So I think that looking forward, food and beverage will continue to grow, and landlords will be more supportive to and forced to innovate and create new concepts where this will give a better consumer experience and diversity, which I think is a good thing. I think for me, fashion, everyone talks about the demise of fashion or that, but I look back through our portfolio, and for the past 6 years, our fashion income has stayed steady at around about 40%. Gastronomy and entertainment has increased from 10% to 15%, as mostly in the market. But where we saw the big reduction is in hypermarkets. And I think that the reduction of hypermarkets within our portfolio has actually helped fashion because of that off-price, the pricing points of hypermarkets. So I think that fashion is here to stay. It's just going to reinvent itself. And I think that it's not a question of saying what works or what doesn't work. You know, retail is a living organism. It will change continuously. and it will keep reinventing itself. I think fashion for me will keep going. They'll experiment with omni-channeling, and but one thing which is certain, we've seen in the success of e-commerce, one of the things which is it's needed for omni-channeling to be successful is the point of a last mile delivery on a physical store. So I think to answer the question on what's going to happen next, I think there will be consolidation in the industry in some of the segments. Some of the bigger players will reduce their geographical footprints. And what that happens then is that portfolios will need to work over in the next couple of years to sort of fill those spaces with the mindset of taking a bit more risk, and also to sort of bring back more of a wow factor and a difference for increased consumer experiences. That's my view.
Fantastic, Scott, a great overview. Henrik, from your point of view, who's next in row?
Well, I think that, as Scott just said, I think that food and beverage will still continue to play a very important role going forward. It's not only one of the things we've missed the most, but also I think it just is a part of the social cycle, basically. But a new player will probably enter into the realm of the high street and the shopping centers. And now under much better conditions than 2 years ago. They're called the pure players. So anybody with a pure player business, i.e. only online, have suddenly got an opportunity to actually reach an audience live and get them to feel and touch their product. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see a pure player invasion coming along, where the pure players will come into the market, whether they are fashion, whether they are jewelry, whether they are even food, will come into the market and play a role in the mortar business. And they will have much better conditions than anyone before. They will take much less risk. They will have much better chance of moving around as the population, as the consumers are moving. So I think the pure players will be winners. The other one are really the ones that understand the repurposing of retail. I think that's going to be incredibly important. What does that actually mean? And I think it basically means that we have to recalibrate the entire value system. The value system was driven on price before. It was driven on a price, then it was driven on my price, and now price don't no matter any longer. It's relevance, it's inclusiveness, etc., etc. So really, everybody needs to stand around and look at their own brand and see what they stand for. What are their values? Whether they are a shopping center, whether they are an operator. So that will also be the winners, and those are the ones you will see re-enter the high streets and the shopping centers and open their doors again.
Thank you so much. I have lost the timing. I'm a little bit about it. So therefore, we should change our procedure a little bit. So the next answers should be extremely short and precise. So Thomas, your point of view on that, is gastronomy still the one in the row who is proceeding with something else?
So just very short, I said it's combined with entertainment. Yeah, I think definitely we need to follow. And in the outlet sector, food was maximum about 5% of the space, and is that like that? It's not more than that. So I think it needs to be very specific. So regional offers, burger, Hawaiian bowl, stuff like that is definitely coming into that. But I would like to add into that also something that I think it is even more important to have, increase the dwell time by unique leisure and entertainment offers. So we have just recently opened in our Spanish outlet in Zaragoza a Lego fan factory or a Mad Lab with escape rooms or climbing walls and stuff like that, so that you have a combination you combine with the food offer, also entertainment, cinema, stuff like that. So it should be, like the Barcelona, more than a club, more than an outlet, more than a shopping center. And I think we need to be very creative and innovative to increase the dwell time by food, by beverage, by entertainment, by other possibilities to get entertained in the shopping malls and outlet centers.
Thanks very much. If I go back to the digital discussion, is there enough potential for digital change in our placemaking industry? A short, very short answer, please, from Ben, Marcus, Peter, or Joanna. And because people are lacking personal interaction, are lacking meetings, what are the absolute essentials? What are the urgent need or nice to haves? Try to make it as short as possible, please.
I'll go very fast. So I think the question's wrong. Placemaking is not about place anymore. The place is not a physical space with walls and a car park. The place is the concept of the mall. So if you've got a good digital strategy, you can break down the walls. It's not about walls. It's about communicating with an audience of shoppers. That's your place. Your place is a shopper. If you haven't got a digital strategy, then all you've got is a building. And yeah, it is about placemaking. So I think what COVID's taught us is the building is just part of the offer. It's a brand, it's the content, it's the way you talk about your tenants. That is the place, not the physical building.
Great. Marcus Bovary.
Yes, thanks, Klaus. Just to make quickly, I think what we're all talking about here is to know our customers better. So with the help of big data, we can do this actually right now. So we can verify those pure players that Henrik was, for example, talking about. Offering your mall's existing products and services as a pickup or home delivery is not enough really if they don't attract the shoppers in the first place. So this is the way to identify and go move on from the crisis and towards the new normal.
Thanks very much. Peter, your point of view?
Well, I mean, shopping centers are physical marketplaces and they will all eventually also become digital marketplaces. So the combination is happening and this is accelerated tremendously during, let's say, the last 12 months. From our perspective, the first fully integrated physical digital marketplace will come to market just after Easter in Europe and then in May in the US. So that is happening now and it's been in the works for a while, but it's all coming together very nicely.
Thanks very much. Joanna, now we are curious to hear your point of view.
Okay, I can just agree with all those guys before me. So digital, it's physical, it's coming more together and you have to put more digital to the physical. Make it a little bit philosophically.
No, but it's extremely direct. It's fantastic.
Okay, so that's
right to the point.
Then you have to manage this somehow. And this is the biggest challenge what we have before.
Super, thanks very much. One of the buzzwords in our industry is zero human interaction, ZHI, vending machine restaurants, fully digitized stores like Amazon Go. Is this the next big thing? And I would love to ask Walter and Christoph. Walter, what do you think about zero human interaction in your branch?
I think in the right channels, at the right locations, zero human interaction is really hot at the moment. But relevant and on track, challenging norms and creating spaces for F&B in a complicated Corona world. So we shouldn't forget that. But is it the next big thing? That's a question mark. I don't see it flooding in our industry like other big trends, frankly speaking. It's more tied to different times and to different places or locations. And also, frankly, I love history, and history has told us that after a deep crisis, a reset can be predicted. But history also tells us that after big crisis, big resets not happened yet. So we will see how we turn around that and how we emerge. And I still believe from the web, which is about connection, interaction, and experience. And that's the heart of our industry. And again, said this, different time and different places may have different answers.
Thanks very much. Christoph, I'm extremely curious to hear your point of view.
I want to have a quick answer. Is it the big thing after the crisis that we have learned? It's not a matter of exchanging goods and items against money, but it's exchanging ideas and social contact. And therefore, we should work for that. And that's why I'm saying no, as quick as it's possible.
Thank you so much. I'm looking on the time, so I change again the procedure. Reinhard, if you allow, I would love to raise the questions we have already on our sheet and the questions we've got from the audience to sum up with all the panelists with an additional newsletter, if you allow. So we try to manage that because I would love to have 3 words, only 3 words from each of your panelists, what you wish for 2021 to our audience. Only 3 words are allowed, and we start in the other order. So we will start with Henrike this time. 3 words, your wishes to the audience for 2021 or our industry. What do you think, Henrike? Are you still with us?
Sorry, so on mute again. So that was the joke. No, as it as it touches first on me, my biggest wish, of course, is a good health and vaccination soon. I wish you good deals, actually, at the end of the day, that you'll be able to seize the opportunities which are ahead of us, and there will be. And I'm convinced of a retail renaissance after some sort of consolidation, of course, which will be painful in some parts.
Thanks very much. 3 words from Patrick, your wishes.
Yes, I had to unmute myself, sorry. Obviously health, happiness, and I would say inspiration.
I love
inspiration to go through, well, it might be the summer of love in the industry, in the society, whatever, but we'll get better out of this, I'm sure. We need inspiration to make the best of it.
Thank you so much. Peter, your 3 words and wishes.
Integrated digital marketplace, but also travel, wining, dining.
I love wine. Jan from Lake Geneva, your 3 wishes.
I love you. So I wish everybody really lots of love and good luck.
Thank you so much. Walter again, 3 wishes from your side.
I say love, joy, and wisdom.
Oh, wisdom is very good. Thomas Reichenauer.
Let's have fun again.
Let's have fun again is 4, but it's okay.
Have fun again is 3. No, it's okay.
Marcus Bovary, your 3 wishes.
Health, unity, and innovation. Those are my words.
Thank you so much. Thomas Mark, who brings light in our heart.
Keep positive, be flexible, and think in new directions.
Thank you very much. Henrik.
Kind, be agile, stay healthy.
Thank you so much. Silvio.
I wish you relevance, resistance, and return.
Fantastic. Very good. Yoda, your 3 wishes and words for 2021.
Well, health, socializing, and quick answers.
That's one of the best one I have to say. Joanna.
I wish meeting people, vibrating places, and traveling.
Thank you so much. Scott?
Restoring consumer confidence.
Super. Johnny?
Magic, fantasy, and romance. Put that into everything we're doing, and our guest will get really excited about what we're doing. Look behind me. That's Berlin. That's what's going to get delivered. Magic, fantasy, romance. Forget what went before. Look at the future. Thank you.
Very good deal, by the way. I love these kind of deals, you know, and congratulations. That was the advertising part of the show. Thank you so much. Ben, it's your turn.
Going at the end, I'd say wine, please, Reinhardt.
Yep.
That would be the deal. I'd also say innovation, cooperation, and love.
Super. And now our Mr. Design and Architecture, you are the last one in the row, but not least one. So,
well, let's regain freedom. Let's have social experiences, and let's make the world together.
Thank you so much. Now I hand over to Reinhardt for his 3 last words, if you allow. And thank you for that round, for the panelists. We tried to sum up and wrap up everything in a proper manner, and hope to see you soon and wish you all the best. Reinhardt, it's your turn now.
It's my turn, yeah. Thank you very much. My 3 words, I think health is one of them, smartness the second one, and innovation is the third one from my side. 1 hour was definitely not enough for all these very interesting topics and aspects. But many thanks from my side for this extremely exciting and informative discussion. As mentioned before, we are working on a summary. We will send out this summary within the next days via our newsletter. Many thanks to the panelists, my advisory board. I'm very proud of all of you, and many thanks for so many people watching us. At the end, greetings from Vienna. Stay healthy, stay safe. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Much.
Thank you very much.
Stay healthy. Bye.
Goodbye.
Ciao.